from your listening device all the way into your agent's psyche. It's Real Estate Between the Lines with Brian Lee. Teaching you things you didn't know you needed to know to help you become a legendary agent and turn your clients into raving fans.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Real Estate Between the Lines, the special edition we are calling Real Estate Locked In Between the Lines. So we're putting together 4 short episodes over the next few days to help with a little bit of hope, provide some suggestions, maybe a little bit of, well, actually, let's just say it, some great entertainment, mostly from me, of course.
Wah, wah.
And to let you know that you're not alone in this situation. Everybody's going through this quarantine, the coronavirus thing, and we as a real estate community wanted to come together. This is part 2 of 4, helping you understand how to handle buyers and sellers. And because we're in quarantine right now, we are in Studio Q quarantine. Like normally
Studio
we are
Q.
with... I don't know how you do the Q in sign language.
I don't either.
But we are in Studio Q for quarantine.
And
Is
then
that
we
what
have-
it is? Yeah.
Is that
that's
Q?
That's Q. So with me, as always, is my lovely wife and co-broker,
Hello.
Kate. And in Studio B, yes,
With
Studio
the beautiful blue
B,
background.
the beautiful blue background. He always
Studio
gets the
B?
best stuff.
Yes, in
Studio
Studio
Q,
B.
Studio B.
Studio B.
He always gets the best stuff. He has the
does.
best equipment. He has the best backgrounds. We're stuck in our basement.
yeah.
at
Hey,
Studio
guys.
Q.
Hi, Christian.
So welcome to
Yeah,
producer.
you guys all staying healthy? Is your family healthy?
We are all healthy. Knock
are
on
healthy.
wood.
I mean-
are you guys? I know you guys were
Yeah.
in
No,
some
we're all
areas
doing
that
good.
were good.
Yeah.
Good. Glad.
We are touting, or we're dealing with some sanity issues.
Yes.
That might be going on right
Physically,
now,
we're
but
healthy.
physically,
Mentally,
we are doing fine.
Ooh.
Yes, kids, spouses.
Yeah, I think you and everybody else, Kate.
Oh yeah, it's a little
Fundamental stuff.
exhausting.
Yeah.
Yes. Woo.
So today is our episode 2, handling buyers and sellers, real estate locked in version. And we know that working with buyers and sellers right now can be very tough. It's always a tough situation to deal with, no matter what the situation. But under the current quarantine conditions, we wanted to talk about that. So certainly we have concerns over, are we satisfying our clients' needs? Are we hitting everything? We should always be doing that, but how are we doing that now? Are we taking on some liability if by letting people into listings, by taking buyers out to places, going to closings, all those things? Certainly the health for you and your family. What are you bringing home when you're showing client stuff? All these are so important and some things that we get into. So we wanted to talk about all that. One of the other things that we brought up too is that there are some states that are working on stay-at-home orders. I know here in Indiana, we're dealing with a stay-at-home order with our governor that put this into effect a couple days ago, that we recognize this. But fortunately for us, at least for right now, we are considered to be an essential employee, which is like the first time ever that anybody has looked at me like I'm an essential person. So Kate, here I am. I'm finally essential.
Yes,
Yay,
you
I'm essential.
are.
But so are you, and so is every other real estate agent. So really, I'm back down to whatever. So anyway, but certainly for those agents that are maybe in other quarantine areas, I know New York, they're under heavier quarantine, and maybe other states. So certainly there's some concerns with that. So what we wanted to talk about today was working first with listings and sellers, some of the concerns. And absolutely the first thing that we need to be doing, the first thing that you should be doing is talking with the seller about their concerns, asking what it is that they're getting into. Maybe we're dealing with elderly people. Maybe we're dealing with the newer family with infants and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Other health issues.
And maybe
in the
they
family.
have health issues. I think that's definitely worth asking, because there are many people that do have health maybe issues with their lungs, whatnot, that you can't see. And it's worth asking. I'm sure they know what's going on, but they may not think about the risks
of
putting their home on the market right
and certainly
now.
I have a student in my class that literally he has a 90-year-old father that does not live with him, but this my student visits his father on a very regular basis. And we had a discussion that it might not be a good idea for you to come to class. Certainly from his standpoint, from my student's standpoint, it probably won't be a problem, maybe, but certainly if he gets something and then goes to visit his father, what are they bringing home? So those are all discussions that we should have and at least bring some light to it. And again, let the seller decide.
Yeah,
I mean, ultimately
just
it's their
have the
decision,
discussion
but
with
have
them.
the discussion. The next thing we want to do is that if the seller is okay with listings, if they're okay with having people come out to here, that there's some things we should certainly get into. The first one is, before we let anybody into this house, let's make sure that they are qualified. Make sure that they're pre-qualified with the lender, that they're not just looking around, that they're not shoppers or whatever. That they just right now, unfortunately there are people out there that don't care about this quarantine.
Yeah,
they're
and they're
caution
bored,
to the wind.
and they're like, "Oh, let's just go look at houses." Yeah, now is not the time to do that. Now's not the time.
So if I'm a listing agent, I'm calling the buyer and saying, "Where are your buyers at? Where are their heads at? Are they pre-approved? Are they serious about this thing? If they are, I want to get them in here. I absolutely want to. But if they're just shopping around, if they were bored at home and not doing anything, and they're like, hey, let's go look," that is not the buyer we want to get in there. So make sure that they're getting into this. Another thing to consider is certainly virtual tours are not a new thing, but maybe we set those up and offer those to buyers. And instead of you coming here, let me give you a virtual tour.
Yeah, and with today's smartphone technology, it's so much easier to do this. It's not a traditional virtual tour. It's more of a video tour of the home. I mean, you can whip out your cell phone, turn it on video, and take a little walk through the home. Start at the front door and just be cautious and make sure you're going smoothly so it's not real shaky. But giving a virtual tour out and posting it out there offers an additional service to your seller, but it also helps keep as many people out of the home as possible. So hopefully they can see some things and get a better feel for the home before they come through. And then they can maybe make a decision of whether it's worth seeing or not.
Yeah, and that you just going to hit my next point is that, so obviously these virtual tours, maybe they'll eliminate some buyers that they're going to look at this thing and they look at the kitchen just through the virtual tour and like, yeah, that's not what we want. That's not what we had in mind. So there's no point in even going to look at this. So maybe it's just an opportunity for the listing agents to have this and kind of eliminate more buyers. And then the buyers that are saying, I'm still engaged, I'm still interested, now maybe let's schedule something. So just reducing the number of people that are in there. Certainly, if they're going to come in the home, if we got into that point where we're in here, next thing we want to do is make sure that this home is ready for showings. And one of the things we talked about on the last episode was with the appraisers, do the same thing with your showings. Open up those doors. Make sure that the lights are all on. So that way the people that are walking through have the least amount of contact with things in that home. They're not having to switch on switches. They're not having to open up doors and look through things.
And leave a note for the showing agents, leave lights on, leave doors open. You had mentioned too the idea of maybe having hand sanitizer and booties at the door. Maybe that's something you as an agent can provide as an additional service to your client. But either way, suggest it to your client so that agents that show your home, if they're not prepared, there's stuff available for them right there.
Yeah, exactly. So,
hey, Kate,
yeah,
I have a tech tip.
It's a tech tip.
It's a tech tip. It might be time to invest in perhaps something like, I'm going to throw out a term here, 3-axis gimble. Are you guys familiar with these?
I have heard of a gimble.
I've heard of a gimble and
right?
3-axis. I
don't know what that
technically, I think I know what that is. It's X, Y, and Z axis. So
Do you guys have just a second? Pause for just 1 second.
Yeah.
We could pause for just a second.
Okay.
Do we play
just
Jeopardy
for our
music?
Producer Christian.
So if you were thinking about investing in a gimbal, something like this.
Oh, yeah. I've got one of those.
So what this does is it's got motors on 3 different axes.
Yeah.
And what it does is it allows you to walk through a home and get buttery smooth motion with your iPhone.
Buttery
so put your iPhone in the cradle, and you can turn it upside down. You can do a walkthrough. But the reason why I said if you're doing a lot of virtual tours, this makes it look way better than just an iPhone. And these aren't too expensive, a couple $100. But if it's something, I wouldn't say buy it and use it once. But if it's something where you do a lot of walkthroughs, a 3-axis gimbal might be a good time to invest in something like that.
I like it. Isn't there an option on there too where it can set to stay focused on you, and that way,
it will actually track you, or you can. There's a little joystick, and you can move it up and down and around and so forth.
Yeah, those are really great to make a smooth, high quality video. Yeah,
right.
Pretty.
So it might be time to do that. If you start finding yourself doing a lot of these.
Exactly. We're looking for write-offs. There you go. That was one of our last episodes we recorded before all this happened, was looking for write-offs and stuff. So Cate mentioned it too, but this is maybe another opportunity for you to look like a great agent too. Provide them like a gift basket of some sort, just something that
like
has
a pop-by gift?
little pop-by kind of gift, and maybe have a thing of Clorox wipes in there and some Lysol and a box of hand sanitizer and gloves and booties, and just kind of decorate it, make it look nice.
Maybe one of these.
Can we get Cate that permanently installed?
Sir.
Sorry. Moving on. So those are some suggestions. Christian, save me.
Nothing I can do for you, Brian. You're on your own.
Thanks.
Sorry.
I know if you were here, you could. You totally would. I know. This is a problem of being separated in quarantine.
Goodness.
So those are some suggestions to deal with listings and all that. The next thing we get into is working with buyers. Again, the same conversation. We're going to start off with the seller. We're doing with the buyer. Let's talk about, do we actually want to buy a home right now? Is now a good time? And we're saying that for a lot of reasons, certainly from the safety and health condition, that, maybe the buyer has some health concerns. Again, they're going to go out to these properties and maybe they pick something up from a listing that they don't want to get involved in. So have the conversation with them. Having said that, the market could be good for a buyer, because right now we know that there are not as many buyers out there. I mean, in our markets, with our agents and everything that we worked on, we still have a lot of activity. So it hasn't slowed down a lot, but still I know for a fact that not all the buyers are out there. There's some restrictions, there's some limitations that not everybody that was a buyer is going out there.
There's some people that are holding back right now. Absolutely.
Exactly. So it might be a 10% reduction, but still that just reduces the market a little, reduces the competition a little bit. So maybe that can help the buyers a little for some situations. It can be bad for buyers in this situation too. I mean, and over the past few weeks, mortgage rates have been all over the place. I mean, they have been at historic lows and they've been kind of high. I don't even know where they are today. We've talked to mortgage professionals on where they are, and they can't give us an answer because it changes secondly.
In the past 2 weeks, I've seen them swing from 3 all the way up to 4.5. It is, and it's hit or miss day to day on when you need a lock. So
exactly.
Yeah, could be really good for a buyer.
Yeah.
It could be a little tougher for a buyer. So they might want to float their rate and talk to their loan officer about that.
Exactly. So that's the only bad thing for the buyers, that hopefully they can hit that rate when it hits really low. And if they do, then great for them. But if they haven't locked in, if they were looking yesterday and they found a home and yesterday the rates were at 2 3/8 or 2 2.5 or whatever, and they're like, they find the home and they're ready to go, and then they call the bank today, we're ready to go and we want to lock in, and now it's 3 1/4. It's like, shoot, that just changed that whole situation.
Absolutely.
So those are some of the concerns for buyers, the rates, the health concerns, all that too. Certainly, again, showing homes. Now we're going to talk about, do we want to offer homes to these people? So if the seller hasn't done that, we suggested that listing agents, maybe this is something that you offer to buyers, but maybe you don't. So buyers agents, do you provide that virtual tour? And what we're saying here is that, again, maybe getting a gimbal like Christian just showed, and you as the buyer's agent goes through that home, that you kind of dress yourself up, put the mask on, the gloves on, and you do the tour of the home. Heck, and where push comes to shove, maybe you could do a FaceTime type of situation where maybe your client sits out in the car and you walk through it, and we know that there's a couple of things that are mandatory for a buyer that I really want. 4 bedrooms,
white kitchen cabinets.
White kitchen. She had to bring that up. That's a whole. At some point when we're through this, Christian, we are going to have a podcast just on cabinet
white
colors
kitchen cabinets.
and why spouses need to have some mental.
We need to have a therapist help us negotiate
on all this.
Hey,
anyway,
Brian, you're preaching to the choir. I just had all my cabinets painted white. So
for your wife, because you're a good husband.
You bet.
I'm getting sick, and I promise you it's not COVID. But anyway, so, maybe there's a couple of things that you go in and see, and the buyer says, yeah, that is just, we already know that that's not the home for us. So just maybe offer that you provide that virtual experience for your clients, walk through the homes and all that. And I would say
first of all, have that conversation with the buyer. What are your must-haves? And maybe even go through with them online, like going through the photos. Are you really going to be okay with white kitchen cabinets? If you really don't want them, let's go ahead and cut this home now. But the other thing with regard to FaceTiming and whatnot, there are so many free options out there. If you don't have an iPhone, there's Skype. You can use Google Hangouts. There are a lot of video conferencing software systems that are easy or free, where the client can either be at home. But I do agree, if they can be out in front of the home while you walk through, that would be nice, because it's nice for them to still see the neighborhood. And that way they can get out for a little bit. Yeah. Just drive the neighborhood and make sure you feel okay in that area and you like the look of the street. I think that's very important.
Absolutely. So just offering more options to your buyers that in the past, it's always just, hey, let's go to the home and let's go view it and we're set. And now it's, let's still go out, but let's be a little cautious and offer some suggestions on how to do that.
Think through it before we go through every single home.
And then ultimately, obviously, if the buyer's coming in, hopefully the seller has left the doors, the lights open, or the lights open, the doors open. Let's turn the doors on and leave the lights open or whatever.
I know what you mean.
but certainly that, make sure you're doing that. If they're not, maybe you should bring some gloves, some hand sanitizer, the booties, the masks, things like that, because chances are your buyers haven't brought those too. The next thing we talk about in here is that for the buyers, once they've found the home, once we're under this contract, now we've got a lot of other things. We still have more steps to go through. We have an inspection that needs to be done. We have an appraisal that needs to be done. Documents need to be delivered to the mortgage company. So all these things in the past we could physically do. Now maybe we don't want to do that. That, again, as the agent, maybe we take on a larger role that we ask the client to stay home and we'll stop by. Leave an envelope outside if there's a health concern and we'll pick it up and we'll take it to our office. We'll make copies. We'll get it to the lender. We'll get it to whomever the respective party might be. And we take some ownership of that normally we would leave it up to the buyer to take care of it. Maybe it's something that we can get into.
That's a great idea. And now might be a great time too to invest in some digital signing software programs. There's a ton of them out there. And if you're not using them, now is a great time to look at them.
Absolutely. Inspections are concerned. Certainly talk with your inspectors. Or some of our inspectors are saying they don't want anybody there, that they'll write a report, they'll give video, they'll do whatever. So the same kind of thing. We mentioned also for buyers, some of the appraisal fees, the turn times, issues with that. Closing, we're actually going to get into the next issue, or in the next episode, we'll talk more about closings. But again, ultimately work with your clients. This, again, agents, I know you already hopefully are doing this, but working with buyers and sellers, having discussions with them, making sure that everybody's safe, protecting yourself, protect your family too, that even though you might need to sell a home and it's a little scary that maybe you won't sell a home in the next few months coming up because we don't know what the market's going to do. And so you're eager to sell. If you get sick and if your family gets sick and something horrible happens, I promise you that commission you made is not going to be worth a dime of having your family sick. So just think about those things.
And I would just to emphasize that, think about when you're showing homes, when you get in the car, your hands have now touched the doorknob or the handle on your car. You've touched your steering wheel, your shifter thingy. Case the technical person in the family here. But I would encourage you to bring hand sanitizer with you. So once you lock the door, hand sanitize as you're walking to your car. Again, for the health and safety of your own family as well.
Yep.
So,
and the last thing, again, if you get into a situation where you don't feel comfortable, that either because of your family or because of another situation, referrals still work, that there might be something willing to take on the risk, or that they're a lower risk candidate, that maybe if you're an agent that is of a certain age and there's some concern about that, maybe refer it to a younger agent. And I'm not trying to be mean in saying that, but just, I mean, my dad's 75 years old and he's in the high risk category. And I know there's agents that are out there that are in that category that maybe it's not the best time for you to be showing homes right now, just out of an abundance of caution, and because we want you guys to stick around, we don't want this thing to get you, that maybe it's better to refer out to somebody that's in your office that's younger, that has a less likelihood of the risk, and maybe you're willing to take that on. So referrals are out there.
Absolutely. So. And the thing I'd like to just sum up is, the virus is a big deal and there is a lot of concern with it. But with regard to the market, I think we also need to be conscientious that things aren't going to fall apart. People are still buying. We're still getting multiple offers on listings. So the market is not falling apart. Don't worry about that. I've been looking at it as kind of the time between Thanksgiving and Christmas, how things kind of slow down. And really only the buyers that are buying are the ones that are out there. You don't have the Sunday shoppers. The people that need to sell are the ones that are selling. So just kind of have that mindset, that thought process that it's just a short-term pain. We'll get through it and we'll be stronger in the end.
Yep, absolutely. So that is it for episode 2 of this. We've got 2 more coming at you here soon. So everybody sorry. Let me restate that. Click. That's a clapboard reference. Take care, everybody. Seriously. Take care of yourself. Be safe. Be healthy. Be legendary. And please wash your hands. Be good.
You've been listening to Real Estate Between the Lines with Brian Lee. If you'd like to learn more about becoming a legendary agent, be sure to visit us at brianclee.com and sign up to hear about upcoming workshops and events. Now go out there and turn your clients into raving fans.